Hello, everybody. Welcome to our very first episode of the Real Estate Chat with Faeine Sat show.
Hey, welcome, folks. We are excited to see you here.
This is very exciting. Yes, and of course, this is our very first episode. So yeah, I'm really excited to start this project. Why don't we start with you? Why don't you just give us a bit of an introduction of who you are, how long you've been in the business, areas you cover, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. Well, I have been in and around real estate for almost 25 years. I've been in sales, marketing, all the work that we do in real estate for well over 2 decades. I have built very successful career out of it. I did not always do real estate professionally, but I kind of have bought and sold many places. So I've been on both sides of seller and a buyer, dealing with realtors, dealing with mortgage brokers out there. And then I've helped lots of my family members do that, lots of friends do that type of stuff. What happens is once you get into sales and marketing and you know a couple of things, it seems like you attract a lot of people who want to come to you for advice. And we all know when that brother-in-law asks you for advice, it's just never an advice, at least not in my family. You are doing like a full-on job with them, holding their hands, walking them through everything, and you don't get paid for it. I've had lots of those experiences. And when COVID hit, I was thinking about making a career move. And because I was so comfortable with real estate and sales and marketing and people side of the business, it made sense for me to go into the real estate business. But I didn't want to just go there and be like an just a realtor, so to speak, who knows some of the things. I'm type of person, if I want to go in there, I want to go like all out, learn everything that I can. And that is the reason why we went into real estate first. And we felt, well, mortgages go hand in hand with real estate. You can't be really super successful in real estate unless you understand the mortgage aspect of it. So we went and got ourselves educated and set up for mortgages. And of course, today we morphed that into a full-on business. We have home improvement division to our company, and we have built a very successful network of other people around us who are smarter, bigger, sharper, like Fain. Lots of other people in law, in accounting, all these other areas that are related to real estate, so that our clients don't have to go look for them. We already have these connections that are pre-screened, and they understand our type of business better, and people can take advantage of it. So that's a little bit of my background. So I always like to go out and look for people who are much bigger, better, faster, sharper than I ever imagined to be myself, and connect my clients with all these awesome connections.
Absolutely. And there's absolutely something to be said, having an expert at arm's length for each different category, right? And I think it's so interesting that you have a perspective of both the realtor side of things as well as the mortgage broker side of things. So you really see things from, really 50% of the full scope, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, wow, that's thank you so much for that. That's really interesting.
No
Um,
problem. How about you, Finn, though? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yes, yeah. So I'm located here in the Fraser Valley, which is I would say about 40 minutes east of Vancouver.
Yeah.
I have been a licensed realtor for 14 years now. Hard to believe
Yeah.
when you say that out loud. I absolutely love it. This is my home, and yeah, I truly believe in the lifestyle here. So it's like what I always say. It's very easy to quote unquote sell what you love because I truly do love the Fraser Valley here, and helping people. I think is at the end of the day that's what it comes down to is to be able to make connections with people and make what could be really stressful situation, light and fun with still maintaining that level of information and confidence and professionalism as well. So I like to be able to wrap all of that up into a little package and just create an amazing experience for my clients.
One of the things I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast. I think there are some roles you play, at least I say you play a lot better than even a realtor. I think as amazing as you are at real estate, I think you are a really super mom. I think
Oh, thank
you're an
you.
amazing friend. Your personality of always caring for a client, I mean, it shines through. I mean, you, even as a professional, unquote, we could be competition to each other. So, but one of the things it allows you to do, really allows you to see different professionals, how they perform and how they work. And it allows us to see professionals with a different lens than an average person will see them probably, right?
Absolutely.
So one
Absolutely.
thing I always admire about you, I have no idea where you get all that enthusiasm, all that drive. It feels like you said you came from New Westminster. That sounds more like a retired community of retired people now. So you're probably too much for them to handle. So they have to send you out to kind of some wide, far open space. Can't handle all those
Oh,
bubbles and laughters here in New West. Just go to Abbotsford.
isn't that funny? Well, thank you so much for your kind words there. Gosh, I have so much to say to in response to that. But first, I love the fact that you and I sat like our businesses technically are separate. We're both with different brokerages. We both run our own separate businesses, but we have collaborated on certain projects and had the opportunity to work together. And
Absolutely.
this is it's turned into such a beautiful thing that, yes, one person could consider us to be, competition for business with each other.
Yeah.
However, we offer such different skills and different personality traits that, sometimes in certain situations, you really get the best of both worlds
Absolutely.
when
Some of our clients getting two realtors into one for price of one is two for one deal.
exactly. Exactly, right? Exactly. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Okay. Well, that was an amazing introduction. I guess this is kind of like an intro video of, hey, maybe this is what the video should be for more is like, who are we and
Yeah.
what do we do?
It's if people need to listen to us for like half an hour, they should know who we are as people. I think they like to know that.
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, so much of finding a realtor, really like there's a realtor out there for everybody. You know what I mean? And it's very transactional, I find as well. It's like, you have to really be able to fit and to get along and trust and feel very comfortable with the realtor that you're working with.
Yeah.
So yes. Okay, so on to our topics for today. The actual topic. Yes, yes. No, that's awesome. So what I'm noticing, and I'm sure Sat you are as well, is that a lot of sellers out there, we're working with sellers for longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's many reasons for this, which we'll get into here, but there's really a lot of things that I think sellers really need to know before listing their property right now, and
Agree.
current market conditions, that definitely plays a factor. So yeah, so I mean, Sat and I, we've come up with some key bullet points and some key highlights of what really we think sellers should really know before even coming to market. So
Yeah.
I'll let you start out.
Yeah, well, the first thing I always like to talk about, I think this must be the question that everybody have thought about at the same time. At least this is the question I get all the time, whether I meet someone at the gas station or a family gathering or at Home Depot. As soon as people know that I work in real estate and mortgages and have successful career in that field, first question comes out of their mouth is, what is it out there right now? What is the current conditions? I think, and you can answer that question so many different times, or so many different ways. But if we are talking about, at least from seller's point of view right now, I think there is still a little bit of a price growth. It hasn't declined or decayed by any means, but it's much slower than where it was. I mean, a couple of years ago, we've all seen it. Somebody bought a house, they've been only in it for 6 months and they can get out of there with making 100K, right? those
Right.
those those days are probably gone now. There were several, at least, but there were like several rapid price increases. It's sort of like you think your home is worth this much back in whenever 20 pre-COVID or even during COVID. You could think your home is worth whatever it is worth and think of a higher number, like dream bigger and throw a dot at it like 10% over it and you'll probably get it. And there was like situations like that, but now it has a lot more conservative compared to that. The growth is still there, but not as big. There are some reasons like Greater Vancouver and Victoria that are remaining still fairly competitive. But as I said, overall the growth has slowed down. So I think what it means for seller, if you're thinking about selling, they need to have a bit more realistic expectations now, right? Like as I said, earlier days of think higher, dream big, and throw a dot at a number and you'll probably get that are gone. And I'm not sure if they're gone for good or they're going to ever come back. Part of me saying it was too busy and like the stable, good type of market that we are in right now, I think is a good market. You need to be a little bit more realistic. And if you work with your realtor and ask them to bring you something called comparative market analysis,
Yes.
a proper one though, not like the number they think it could be, then base your sales figure based on that you probably would be a little bit further ahead doing that. One of the challenges that I've seen or I've noticed people doing, especially when they're selling to everyone, their property is always worth more than the neighbors, right? To me,
Oh,
my
for
house
sure.
is always worth more. It's just the way it is. If I'm putting my property on the market, I'd probably think, yeah, it's like 20 grand more. Why? Because it's mine. It's like your child can't ever be wrong, right? It's just, or your grandkid is the cutest. It's the same effect. When we take that type of mindset and approach to market, to business, you probably won't see as good of a result if you just use that approach. I'd encourage you to use more of a proper comparative market analysis done by a professional and base your prices based on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. I'm definitely noticing, sellers that have been on the market for, 6 months to a year, definitely they've come at a higher price point at what we would consider a premium, quote unquote.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, they're wondering, okay, well, why hasn't my house sold? Why hasn't my property been getting views?
Exactly.
Why do I keep getting all of these quote unquote lowball offers?
Yeah,
And it's because they're priced above where today's market is suggesting that it could be.
exactly.
I'm getting a lot of sellers saying, okay, well, I'll wait it out and we'll wait
Yeah,
until prices come back up.
yeah,
And, I mean, of course, that would be that, that's great if you have the flexibility to do that. But I think it's just really understanding that unless you're very, competitively and on point with the comparables, you can expect to be listed for, easily and eventually might be chasing the market downwards depending on what happens in the next 6 months and how quickly do you want to sell. So there's a lot of different factors definitely playing in the background here. And I think it's up to us to be able to really set that expectation of, look, this is what things are selling for. If you want to price your property above market, you just have to be prepared for that one in a million buyer that's willing to pay the extra price point, the extra money for your property, and they need to be able to justify that. So unless your property
exactly.
has something that's like, you know absolutely amazing, or this feature, why would a buyer pay extra when they have so much to choose from? Because inventory is huge right now. There's a lot
Yeah,
for buyers to choose from. So,
yeah.
yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that.
I was in a conversation with a very high valued mentor of mine, Fain, and this is what he said, exactly what you said, but in different words. Is that when buyers are looking to buy properties, make no mistake, they're checking every option that is out there, and the realtors are probably advising them what is available on the market. Like let's face it, nobody just kind of wakes up middle of the night, kind of say, I'm going to go buy a property. People have probably
Mhm.
been researching the market for months, so they know where the prices are. So what happens is if your price is priced too high, there is something happen at the psychological level to the buyer. I mean, imagine you walking through a store. You're looking to buy a drill, and that drill is $50 or $60 or $70 everywhere. Then you walk into this one store, and that similar drill is for $200. What are you going to say? Well, mentally, you're going to just check off. So, same
Absolutely.
thing happens when people look at the prices on their screens, on their phones. When they look at a price that's way high, mentally they check off. They don't even check the property. They don't even care what value it offers. Price is important enough of a subject for almost every buyer out there. And we understand that sellers want to get the max dollars for their home, but there are different strategies to go get that done than just pricing it way above the market price. That's not
Absolutely.
one of the strategies to get the most dollars out of your price, right? You probably will end up getting less if you did that. But yeah, to your point, if they are a little bit more strategic, they probably would be a little better.
Yep, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and I mean, definitely rising interest rates. Gosh, since COVID, I mean, right after during COVID, during the lockdown, I
Mhm.
mean, the market was crazy. Let's just face it, it was a very, very, very strong seller's market.
Yeah. It
And
shifted 3 times in that time.
right, exactly, exactly. And so, interest rates were affordable, and that, the government, I'm assuming, wanted to keep, the economy going and therefore kept interest rates down and whatnot. I mean, we were in really, different times, obviously. However, that being said, price affordability just got to be so, through the roof and impossible that, of course, something had to change. And what better way to do that is to start implementing, rules of, purchasing power and interest rates. That's the very
Mhm.
first thing that the government went for. So, yeah, I mean, very, very high interest rates we've seen in the last 12 months,
Yeah.
100%. I definitely think that, the government got what they wanted. I mean, it did slow down the market, but it didn't happen overnight. Like it's a very gradual process that sort of, the prices went down. And
Mhm.
now it's a really slow, gradual process for
Right.
prices to be coming back up. And I don't think we're fully out of the slowest point in the market. Like we're not in the lowest point of the dip.
Right.
I think the
Right.
worst is over, but it's not happening overnight, right? Like it definitely, the interest rates are still high enough that affordability is still a huge factor
Mhm.
for some purchasers. And,
Yeah.
being able to balance getting what they want for their property as well as what they're be able to afford. I mean, interest rates totally plays a factor.
Absolutely. Big time. I mean, from the mortgage perspective, because we do look at lots of people's mortgages, right? And one of the things we love to do is allow them to see what their monthly payments going to look like. Because let's face it, nobody's paying $650,000 cash for the homes anymore, unless it's
Right.
a very rare case. Most of the questions from that perspective coming in are, hey, what would my payment would be like? Or at least you should be asking that question if you're not. What does this 650 means to me on the payment side? And what we're noticing is, to your points, when even with 0.5% better interest rate, you drop that payment by 250, $300 a month, and all of a sudden it makes a difference of somebody being able to afford it or being able to feel that they can afford it versus, oh no, this is way out of my range, right? We go back to the same psychological factor again. If it is too high, I'm checked out.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. The interest rate definitely have played big factor in the selling the house. One of the other things I think, Finn, that people need to be mindful about when selling is the presentation and marketing on the properties. But one of the things I notice is, obviously, maybe it's realtor's lens, that every time we're looking at a property, one of the things I like to look at is how well this property is presented. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, you need high definition audio, pictures and videos and so forth, that everything that goes in there. But also make sure the property is presentable when people show up there. Because how you value your property is how the potential buyer is going to value it.
Ugh, I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, it's
Absolutely.
little, maybe even a little bit less than you value it. So if you're doing the showings and your pictures are like taken by an iPhone and nobody has put any thought or effort into what it looks or how it shows on the screen, there is something called screen presence that my videographer taught me. He said something called screen presence, and people would buy into their what they're seeing on the screen before they ever show up looking at the property at your home. Now, let's face it, you probably have seen this before, that all of the images that are put out there, we have such good cameras, such good equipment. We can sometimes present the pictures to the best light of the house, or we can present our house to the best possible light through pictures and videos and all that, right? But make sure when buyers walk in there, that house actually matches to what it shows in the pictures,
Yes. Oh
right?
my goodness.
Or
Absolutely.
it's
Hands down 100%.
Yeah, or it's at least it's close. I've seen those pictures which are kind of beautifully digitalized, this fully organized living rooms and this fully organized kitchen, and everything is like absolutely impeccable. And you walk in there, they're like pet food, cat litter smells bad, the hair all over. Like we understand that when family lives, you don't, it's sort of like that saying that I heard from a marketer says, you don't sell the house you live in. You sell house totally differently, like a decluttered, fully organized, or as organized as possible. The less stuff in there, the better, without it being like bare minimum, right? And everything clean and dust. Now, do we live in a house like that? Probably not. But the house you live in probably won't sell.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so the house you
Yeah.
want to sell, you probably won't normally live in, but you have to put up living in there for however many weeks it takes to sell that house. But I think the presentation on the screen and when people walk in there is absolutely massive. I cannot emphasize that enough. How those two
Absolutely.
need to match with each other as
Well,
close
and
as possible.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And if you think about it, so I mean the pictures, they're the gates.
Yeah,
They are what open at the gate to bring people in. And
yeah,
then as a seller, what you want to do is once they come in, you want to wow them. And
yeah,
we'll create a video on how to create the best home presentation or how to create the best showing, how to create the best open house. But you have to really impact them with that first impression of when they get there. You want to, get all of their five senses going. So you want
yeah,
it to smell nice. You want to have nice soothing music or nice funky jazz. You want it to
yeah.
look appealing and not cluttered. You want to create that lifestyle that they're
Mhm.
going to envision as they walk into your home. And as sellers stay on the market for longer,
Mhm.
desire to want to create or put the effort into creating that experience for every single showing,
Mm.
sometimes their efforts can get a little bit more relaxed as time
Exactly.
progresses. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to, and of course, as realtors, we have to, choose our words very carefully, right?
Yeah.
But we have to really continue that emphasis on enthusiasm, keeping how important it is to maintain that level of effort as you're going through the selling process, no matter how long it takes, because that's important. And especially in more balanced markets,
Yeah.
that could make or break a sale.
Yeah, so this point is so important, Fane. Exactly what you just said, just hit the nail on the head there. When you start, as your house in the market is it probably looks great, and then as the weeks go by, you tend to relax. I
Mhm.
mean, it makes so much of a difference that we actually have created a team of people who go declutter and clean and kind of reorganize your home like once a month. It's on the market, just because we always want it to be looking fresh,
Yes.
looking kind of as neutral as possible and so forth, right? One of my biggest pet peeve is I remember selling a property or putting a property on sale, and this gentleman who owned that property, he was a bit of a music lover. He could not stand him having to take down Johnny Cash's images that he has collected over the years from his walls. He could not see that happening. And his wife was equally into plants. She couldn't stand somebody
Mhm.
even touching her plant, let alone taking it off of her walls.
Right.
And they all had this environment created which was very suitable for them. And we walked three people through that. And sure enough, every three feedbacks coming back from buyers were that man, that looks like a
Wow.
plant. So I have allergies, I have this. So it's very important. Nobody's trying to
Absolutely.
tell you how to live your life or how to keep your home. But hey, if your goal is to sell that home and you're being advised to declutter it, depersonalize it, and neutralize it, and clean it, and optimize it that way, I think it's for your best interest.
Absolutely. And it is nothing personal. It's
It's nothing
absolutely nothing
personal.
personal. Putting
Nothing
makeup
personal.
on, you put makeup on for an event,
Yeah,
to a gala, you want to make sure that you're dressed nice, you put your makeup on, you have a shower. It's
yeah,
the same thing when you're showing a property. You're putting makeup on the property, not to hide anything, but just to, show it and emphasize it in its best light because it's an occasion. A showing is an occasion, let's face it.
right.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think we've got some really great, and some pointers for sellers right now. So I guess our key takeaways, price competitively, right? You want
Yeah,
to make sure that you're priced in line with your comparables and really take into consideration, time on market and what you're prepared for.
yeah. Market your home really well. Make sure you market
Yes.
it super well.
Yep.
And you maybe ask your realtors to think outside of the box because everybody is doing high definition videos nowadays and virtual tours and all that. How can you make your property stand out a little more?
Yeah. And
We
that's
certainly
definitely
have some plans that do that, but we can talk on a different day on that.
absolutely. And something to ask your realtor when you're interviewing realtors if you haven't done so already. That's definitely one of the questions that you can ask them. So yeah, and being prepared for longer listing times. The,
Yeah.
the days of our, 20 offers and selling after one open house, well, we're not experiencing that right now.
Uh,
Hopefully soon in the future we will. However, we're just not seeing that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other little point I want to touch on here, Finn, is sometimes because sellers get really excited about selling their home, sometimes some of the important key areas they've never paid attention to can be overlooked. Like as in if you're selling a property out in the farm somewhere, maybe there is requirements or disclosures you need to make about that oil tank that was buried whenever it was buried. Or if you have built that basement that was built without permits, you are legally sort of like responsible to allow and sort of like disclose that. So make sure that all your legal things that need to be disclosed are disclosed. Because sometimes we make the entire deal, everything happens, and then something like that wasn't disclosed. It comes out at the end, and now it has the potential of breaking that deal. You want to
Yep.
make sure you're upfront, transparent. It gives buyers better confidence, and you're doing the right thing by doing that by disclosing everything upfront.
Absolutely. And most of the time it won't change anything. You just have to make sure you disclose, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, what an amazing first episode, Sat. Thank you so much. We did it. Yay. We are going to have this on YouTube. The goal is to eventually have this as a full on podcast. So, yes, like, share, and spread the word to help us get the algorithm to spread the show. And why don't you, can you give us your phone number? And that way, if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
Absolutely. 604-308-6757 is my number. I'm one of
Amazing.
very few realtors who still like to pick up the phone and actually take the call if you call me. I know it drives everyone nuts that if I have questions, sometimes more than two questions, instead of typing them in text, I'll probably call you. It does have its value. I'm not discounting that. I work very diligently through text and email as well. But if you really want to have a conversation, pick up the phone and just dial and let's talk. Human to human,
Absolutely.
heart to heart, eye to eye. About that.
Amazing. And mine is 778-347-4663. And again, just like Sat, call, email, text, whatever you're most comfortable with. Definitely my preference will be face to face, belly to belly. And yeah, that's amazing. Okay, thanks so much, everyone.
Okay. Thank you everyone for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Great being with you.